I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 95, Milo's Astro Lanes. Released in 1998, this game was developed by Player One and published by Crave Entertainment. Well, we got another sports game here, but it's a weird one. Bowling's a sport, right? Considering how unpopular bowling games are, I was surprised to see a decent amount of people excited when this game was drawn. How can you have fond memories of a bowling game of all things? Well, the name and box art certainly had me intrigued. This definitely didn't seem like a realistic bowling simulator at all. Maybe this one will surprise me. Let's get into it. You won't find it in-game, but this game does have a storyline. They included it in the manual. Milo is a teenage genius in the 22nd century, and he spends most of his time competing in the Astro games. They're broadcast across the universe, and it attracts all kinds of different players. They'll battle it out using power-ups in a game that blends bowling and mini-golf, all to try to be the one to take home the Asteroid trophy. Alright, the main single-player mode in this game is the League, so that's what we'll be doing to beat this game. The first thing to do is select your ball. I don't think they do anything different, but they all look cool. Then you select your character. I think these do have different stats, but I don't really know how they affect things. There's Milo, Tenpin Merv, Gleep the Venusian Warbler, Johnny Slamball, Android, and Dr. Onuki. I went with Onuki because he's gotta be good. I mean, just look at it. So the league starts with you in a warp room area and you choose the lane you want to play in. To start, there's only 3 to choose from. So I went with Alien Invasion first.
Oh no! Rebels are attacking!
And man, this first lane is just wild looking. It's like something out of a horrible fever dream. You're seemingly in this complete void, and the lane is this massive, freaky thing with giant teeth and huge eyes. This place would have absolutely terrified me as a kid. Despite the way it looks, it's just your standard straight line bowling lane. For now. During play, there will be spinning stars on the lane. If you roll the ball into these, you obtain a power-up. Here, the AI uses one that turns their ball into 3. Mastering these is crucial to beating this game. The cool part is there aren't just specials that help your shot, you also have defensive specials to use. So here I deploy a power up to make Milo's ball go flying over the pins. He had no chance. Get wrecked, dude. And then here I use the P-ball power up to make Milo's ball turn tiny, missing the pins entirely. Certain power-ups counter others, and the AI will get smarter with them the further in you get. This first match was going pretty well for me. I was mostly getting used to the controls and the different power-ups. Despite this, I was playing much better than Milo. Probably because this is the first match. When all was said and done, neither of us did all that well, but I did win 97 to 91. In bowling, your final score can be anywhere from 0 to 300, so 97 isn't too great. When you win on a lane, it shows a trophy being awarded to you, and the portal to the lane will now say bonus on it. The bonus round will put a bunch of pins on the lane in a weird formation, and you have 3 rolls to knock them all down. Some of these can get pretty wild, but this first one's super easy. Despite beating Milo and the bonus round, my work here wasn't done. The trophy I won was only the Cosmium trophy. So I still needed to get the gold trophy to truly win this lane. How do you do that? By beating Milo in a game of bowling, of course. Why not have the player repeat the exact same thing? This time though, the AI will bowl much better than before. Without some knowledge of the power-ups, this second match can't be won. Basically, I discovered the one that makes your ball giant was essentially a guaranteed strike, and the defensive power-ups were all really good. Here I deployed the bomb, which just instantly causes the opponent's ball to blow up. Milo was smart and countered this with a triple ball power-up. The bomb can only blow up one of the balls, so he still got some pins down. After another 10 frames of play, I had beaten Milo 130 to 114, and I earned myself the gold trophy. Now, you may be thinking, surely he's done with this lane now, right? Well, not at all. The gold trophy isn't good enough either. To truly beat the lane, you must earn the Astro Cup. And to do that, I had to beat Milo one final time. Aw man, it's going to be like this in every lane, isn't it? Well, now I had a good grip on the power-ups, and I crushed Milo 143 to 61. Now I truly was done with this lane. Next, I went to Hyperspace Express.
Welcome to the Hyperspace Express.
This is where the game starts to get a bit interesting. This lane has a gap in the middle with a ramp leading up to it. You have to clear this ramp to reach the pins, as you might expect. This is where a big issue I had with the game came into play though. Sometimes the ball would just lose all speed when hitting the edge of the ramp. Whoa, what was that, man? I'm not sure if it was clipping the ledge or what, but it definitely seems like a glitch. I got so tilted whenever this happened, and it sure happened a lot. The opponent here is Asteroid. It really doesn't matter who you're playing against, more so that each person has a home lane to battle them on. The game's a lot more about the lane you're in. The first time facing her was incredibly easy, and I beat her 119 to 55. Then it was on to the bonus round for this lane. There's 2 piles of pins before the ramp, and it's not hard to clear if you just use the giant ball power up. Knocked it out first try. I found a way to trick the AI in this lane during the second go at it. I could use the green ooze power up to slow her ball down and cause it to deteriorate. She'd try to counter this with the speed up power up. However, if I used it just before the ramp, she would immediately speed the ball up, causing it to go flying over the pins. With that, I crushed her in the second round, 152 to 58. Then I annihilated her for a final time in the third round, 143 to 41. I'd now acquired 2 Astrolite trophies. The third lane in the first area was Venus Vacation.
How about Venus?
This takes place on a small patch of rock surrounded by lava. The pins are inside a volcano with a narrow entrance, but there's never really a risk of not making it inside in my opinion. Maybe only with the triple ball. The opponent here, as you might expect, is the Venusian Warbler. The game was starting to get a bit repetitive by this point, honestly. I'd essentially figured out how the game worked. Triple ball countered the bomb, speed up countered slowdown, big ball countered small ball, and the bouncing one was just OP. I won the first game against the Warbler 201 to 81. The bonus here was basically the same as the last level, just 2 groups of pins. I'm not sure if it's random what power up you start with on these or what. The first time I had the speed up, but the second I had a triple ball. Picking up the big ball power makes this one easy. There we go. I then won round 2, 230 to 95, and I took round 3, 142 to 36. Now I'd acquired the Astrolite trophy in all 3 lanes. This opened the tunnel to the next hub area, the Galaxy. There were now 4 lanes to choose from in this one. 3 are repeats from the last, and then there's a new one. First, I went to Hyperspace 2.
Welcome to the Hyperspace Express.
The sequel to Android's last lane. This is where the game got frustrating. The lane layout became much more complex. There was a huge ramp in the middle, and then there were banked walls on the sides. Now, making it to the pins was simple enough. If I just threw the ball from the same spot every time, I could figure how much I needed to curve it to end up in the correct spot. The issue was the power-ups. There's a few positions they can spawn in, and it seems to be completely random which ones you get. Sometimes they'd spawn directly in front of you and they were easy to grab. Others, they'd spawn to the left and right of the hump. It was near impossible to hit the pins if you went for them, so it created a situation where I had to decide to go for pins or go for a power-up. In the first matchup, this isn't a big deal. The AI doesn't really use their power-ups well at all, and it's easy to beat them by just bowling normally. I won 143 to 45. The bonus here was kinda tricky. There was a pile of pins on the hump and then a pile in the normal position. I lucked out and had the power-ups all spawn directly in front of me, so I was able to just spam them to easily knock down all the pins. There's also these weird boosters just before the ramp that can really screw you over. Thankfully they're not there in the regular game, or I'd probably never win. Round 2 was still pretty simple, and I beat her 178 to 91. Round 3 was a different story. At frame 5, disaster struck. Anne was stocked up on power-ups, and I had none. She was feeling bloodthirsty, and she just kept spamming the ones to stop my ball. And it kept giving her power-ups the ones that spawned directly in front of the start, and mine were in the hard spots. It just led to an endless loop where I could never get any points, and she was just piling it on. I got my first loss of the game here. Well, I would have if I didn't rage quit. The next time around, I focused more on gaining power-ups than I did actually hitting pins. We were both just kinda beating each other up the whole game. In this high-scoring affair, I beat her 45 to 33, getting the Astrolite trophy. Next lane I went to was called Asteroid Terror.
The asteroids are approaching.
Asteroid Terror. Here I was bowling on, well, an asteroid. The lane's not straight at all, there's all these bumps along the way. Thankfully no drop-offs into the abyss though. There's also these green alien things that pop up out of the ground occasionally and they can mess you up. The opponent here is Johnny Slamball. I absolutely eviscerated him in the first round, 146 to 20. The bonus round was real easy once again. In fact, I almost got him all in a single ball. Johnny didn't know what hit him in round 2, he lost 169 to 55. And then in the third round, you know, the most difficult one, I beat Johnny 117 to 11. Yeah, safe to say Johnny got wrecked. The second visit to Venus Vacation featured a lane with multiple ramps over lava-filled gaps. You know, I'd love to go on this crazy story about my struggle through the game and how it kept getting more and more difficult, but I ended up persevering. But that's not really what happened. After the dreaded hump in Hyperspace 2, the game became quite easy. I beat the Venusian Warbler 107 to 48 in the final round without any kind of trouble. Alien Invasion 2 had the lane slanted, kinda like a ditch, but it doesn't really affect the ball too much. Plus the creepy thing's mouth can close, causing the teeth to block the ball. Real quick, I'll talk about the graphics and music of the game. The graphics are honestly pretty solid. They went for a more cartoony, unrealistic look, and I think they nailed it. It fits the aesthetic of the game quite well. Most of the textures look nice too. The music, on the other hand, well, it kind of feels like elevator music to me. It's just so repetitive and it's not all that great to begin with. I don't know, I just wasn't a huge fan. It's not awful though. Milo got beat 93 to 47 in the final round. I now had 7 Astrolite trophies to my name and I could go to the final hub area. It was just called Cosmic. So there's 5 lanes to go now, the ones we've already been to and a new one. Asteroid 2 now had 2 bumps through the middle of the lane, but just rolling straight down the middle made the ball go to the right place every time. I beat Johnny 94 to 19 in the final round. Next, I went to the third round of Venus Vacation 3. This had not 1, but 2 dangerous jumps over the lava. I beat the Warbler 80 to 42 in the final round. Alien Invasion 3 now had quite a chaotic lump in the middle, along with a new flying saucer that had the potential to electrocute your ball. I beat Milo 66 to 31 and only 2 lanes were left. Next was Hyperspace 3. Somehow this is easier than Hyperspace 2. I think it's mostly due to the power-up placement. The hump in the middle now has a dangerous hole in the center of it, although I'm not really sure how you'd manage to fall in there. I beat Ann 79 to 17 in this one. The final lane was called Nebulous Park. Our opponent was none other than the renowned 10-pin Merv. This one's pretty wild. There's humps all along the sides and this causes the ball to move around like crazy. The thing is, the AI has trouble aiming on this one as well, so it doesn't matter how well you do. I'll cut to the chase. I whooped Merv's butt so hard, he lost 73 to 46 and I was done. All 12 Astrolite trophies earned. This causes a congratulatory message to come up along with the game's credits, and yeah, that's about all there is to it. Game complete. So yeah, there you have it, my journey to beating Milo's Astro lanes. You know, I'll give it to the devs of this one. This game sure was adventurous. I feel like you wouldn't see something wild like this nowadays because the risk is so great of it failing. I don't think this game did great sales-wise, but I do respect it a lot. I think it's just hard to make a bowling game fun, but this game did a decent job at it. The power-up battles are cool, although it's easy to solve for the best strategies. You know, those bonus rounds were kind of fun. The manual describes this as a mix of bowling and mini-golf. I think if they focused on that aspect rather than the bowling itself, the game could have been a lot more fun. I'm picturing like huge intricate courses where you had to bowl your way to the pins in certain spots or something like that, or maybe that'd be terrible, I don't know. Anyway, I thought the game was decent, but it needs work in a lot of areas. It's just not that fun to play, the graphics are great, and the music's a bit lacking. Overall, it's worth checking out, but I don't think you'd want to play it for very long. I gave it a 4 out of 10 for enjoyability and a 1.5 out of 10 for difficulty. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Have a sneak peek at the next game. So we got 295 on the list. I get nervous for these nowadays. Go! 156! What is that? I didn't know this was on this list. We're playing Mission Impossible. I don't know what that is, but alrighty. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. It helps the channel a lot. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one.